Thank you, Bailey. So good to see everybody. Welcome to this Branding You workshop. For those of you who don't already know me, my name is Jennifer Weilage, and I am a life coach. As Bailey said, I was certified through Bailey's program, the Life Leadership Coach Training, and I coach with the Mindrise, as well as coaching with my own private practice called Rainbow Balance. And as I said, I went through LLCT, and one of the most amazing benefits about coming out of the training was that not only did I gain knowledge of how to be a coach and get all the tools that I needed, but I also came out with my very own business. And so turning our passion, right, into our life's work is exciting and scary all at the same time. As a court reporter for over 20 years, I was venturing into uncharted territory. What did I know about starting a business? I had already a successful career as a court reporter, but I felt this calling for a change. I knew that coaching was the path that I was supposed to take, but I wasn't really sure where it was going to lead me. So I said my yes, and I had this willingness to just kind of experience whatever I was supposed to experience along the way. But when we're following our bliss and doing what lights us up, it involves shedding, right? It's like shedding maybe who we used to be in service of who we want to become. And so oftentimes we don't feel quite ready and we may think we're not there yet, and we may think that we don't have what it takes. And so I have learned that delving into my heart and my soul to become what I was meant to be in the world, and embracing and learning to become uncomfortable with this new identity. And it takes courage. It takes courage to find your voice, to become someone new, and it takes self-confidence. And believe me, I struggled, and I still struggle a lot. But life is about growing and evolving into who you want to be. So I'm not sure exactly all of your stories. I would love to kind of understand who is on the line, on the Zoom line. But I wanted to just first introduce myself and talk about how painful it can be when you're starting a new business. And we're talking about specifically branding today. But it's painful. And I liken it to giving birth, right? You have a lot of labor pains when you're starting your own business. For me, it was like going through that 9 months of coach training. It was literally 9 months, right? It was 9 months. And I had my first baby business. And it was mind-blowing, the whole process. And sticking with the birthing analogy, Bailey was and is like my doula, right? She's been there to help me, and she trained me very well. And just like having a baby, there's really no preparing you for what's to come, right? Like a new mom, I wanted a manual, right? Because I needed help figuring it all out. And I was scared and I was excited, and it was messy and it was fun and it was draining and it was amazing and it was difficult and it flowed and it didn't flow and it was all kinds of things all at once. Like the process was kind of, it is just like life. It has ups and downs, and it still does, right? I'm still trying to figure things out. So I feel so blessed to be part of Mindrise because we're a community, and Bailey has this motto that I love, and it says, "Rising tide lifts all ships." So we don't have to go it alone. We can journey together and navigate life together. So at the Mindrise, we not only coach, but we also give you practical information that you can use in every aspect of your life. So recently, one of my clients came to me and asked me how to brand her business. And I prepared a worksheet for her and I gave it to Bailey and I said, "What do you think about this?" And she said, "I think it's a workshop." So here we are.
Okay, let me jump in here because Jen, she sends me this document and she says, "Hey, if you ever want to use this, you could." And it was great because so much of it had come out of our coach training program, and she really turned her and made her spin on it from her own experience. It was awesome. And I said, so this is a workshop. And then you should have seen it, someone turn completely blank white, right? Absolutely completely blank white. And I said, Jen, no, you can do this. You can do this. And she has put her absolute heart into this. So no, Jen, you're gonna share with us what we're going to be covering for today. In the meantime, I'd love to hear from everybody in the chat because I see so many people are now popping on. This is great. So just throw in the chat, like, where you're from, because that's always fun, when people are like, oh, I'm from, Somerset, and they're like, oh, I, worked at an ice cream shop in Somerset. It's just fun. So throw in the chat where you're from, and also what do you hope to get out of today? What do you hope to get out of today? Because Jen has worked so hard on this, and the two of us have been in the practice of coaching, having our own businesses, and I don't know about you, but I'm not a fan of reinventing the wheel. So we're here to answer all questions that you have. And I'm sure there's things you don't know what you don't know. But hit it, Jen, because me, I talk.
I was just about to say, put in the chat why you're here and what you hope to benefit from today. So we were on the same exact plane. So we just wanted to, kind of let you know if this workshop is for you. If you're in the process of turning your passion into a full-time business, this workshop is for you. If you need clarity on your particular brand, if you're wanting to maybe rebrand an already established business, maybe you want to, hone in on what your business that you've had for a while looks like today, because sometimes our business, needs change and we need to change our branding. So I just wanted to actually get a sense of like how many people, like put in the chat, if you would, how many people already have your own business? If that's you, put, I'm a business owner now. And maybe some of you are wanting to start your own business and you want to learn how to put your unique brand out into the world. So if that's you, put, I want to learn more about starting my new business. That in the chat. Bailey's going to give us the rundown of who says what. And I want to also know, like, how many of you are here because you're feeling maybe a pull to do something different? Maybe, you want to, or you're yearning, to get out of that whole, I should be doing this and that's why I'm doing it. And maybe you want to step into listening more closely to what your heart is calling you to do. So maybe that's you. So if that's you, and maybe you want to gather some information on branding so that a business down the line, you'll have some more information. So if that's you, put in listening to my, listening more closely to my heart, maybe something like that. Wherever you are in your journey, I will tell you this right now, you're in the right place. So Bailey, we're going to I want to hear from everybody. I want to know, oh, there's the chat. I guess things are coming in. Okay, Bailey.
In the chat, we've got, so Jill had shared that she's a badass business owner, and in the yoga, she's a yoga instructor and a life coach for child-free women. And again, guys, we're a nice intimate group. So I know so many like webinars that you go on have like 50 people and it feels like you're at a rock concert. Like, feel free to unmute yourself. Like, let's be real people here. Danielle had shared that she wanted to learn more about starting a new business. And Danielle, I have to say, like, and again, you feel free to unmute yourself, but she's like, I need clarity, I need direction, and trying to put all the ideas together. Like, how many is like, yeah, sister speaks for me. Like, absolutely. Right. Ruth, okay, it's hopping in here now. Ruth, I know, I feel like I'm your official reader. Ruth lives in Bedminster and she's working on leaving her life in the hedge fund, and she works for their foundation. I love the philanthropy side. My tongue does a thing when I say philanthropy. Philanthropy side of it, but not the culture of the firm. Yeah, listening to my heart, Jen. You can definitely, I mean, if anybody could talk to that, that's Jen. And then looking for your clarity. All right, we got a couple clarities. And now Danielle and Jill are having a love affair in our chat because they're both in yoga and dance world. This is great. Perfect. Christina is sharing that she lives in West New York, and West New York, New Jersey, and she's more ideas on growing and branding her empowerment business. Awesome, which includes my karate and self-defense classes and programs. Amazing. Can we come? Love that.
Everyone's invited to the party.
Yes, love it.
Jane likes that.
All right, so do you want to continue? I was going to share my screen and
Go ahead.
take
We're
it
ready,
away.
girl.
All right,
We're
let's
ready.
do it. All right. All right, so how did that come through?
You're looking good. We're looking good. We see it. You got it.
Let me just make sure I have everything I need here. Sorry, I'm new to this world of Zoom.
You are
Okay.
doing great.
Okay. So again, welcome. This is our Branding You workshop, and we are Jen and Bailey. We've already introduced ourselves, but feel free to follow us on Instagram. Bailey's handle is at the Mindrise. Mine is at Rainbow Balance. Let's see here. Yeah, so pull out your phones and follow us today. We would love to, stay connected with you, and we're here to support you in all of the aspects of your life. So let's talk about what to expect from today's workshop and what you need to kind of have with you. Does everybody have their Branding You workbook handy? Thumbs up. You don't need it. If you don't have it, don't worry. If you just want to grab a piece of paper and a pen, that would be great too. That's fine. We encourage you to be comfortable. Most of us are from the area. It's 72 degrees out, but somehow I have a heater next to me because I'm really chilly. My feet are cold. I'm wearing a dress. I dressed up for you guys. And of course I have my essential oils because they always come in handy. But whatever you need to get comfortable, I'd encourage you to just be comfortable. I'd also encourage you to engage today. We'd really like to hear from you. This is not about me just talking at you. We'd like to share. That's really important. Also, it's bringing your belief in what's possible for you and for your business. What you can expect today is we're going to be talking about intentional thoughts and unintentional thoughts too, feelings and actions. And we're going to take some time to reflect in those journals or on the piece of paper, the pen, any way you want to do it. We're also going to talk about the key aspects of branding, and we're going to help you to identify who you are and who you help. And we're going to help you to gain some clarity on how to communicate your particular brand. So the first journal prompt, Bailey, take it away. This is the first thing. We're just going to dive into you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, you got to start somewhere. And my favorite place to start is like figuring out where you're stuck. Because we could have all the biggest hopes and dreams in the world, but it's really hard to get started moving forward, feeling hot, feeling lit up, feeling excited if you keep holding yourself back. Because the truth is, the one thing holding us back is usually ourselves. But there's different ways in which we hold ourselves back. So let's start here. This is page 3 of your workbook, right? We've got the cover, we've got the lovely faces of Jen and I from our amazing photo shoot, and page 3. So just dive in. What areas do you feel stuck in branding? Where are you feeling held back? And again, you can put this in a journal, you can put this in the workbook. And of course, we've got this designed where one question is going to lead to the other, but like, let's illuminate. We're going to think that we're stuck, and it's going to feel like the boogeyman unless we just illuminate it. Okay, I'm stuck here. I don't know how to do this. I don't have a clue here. I don't have a community. I'm not sure if this idea is even going to fly, right? I don't know if I'm expert enough or seen enough or have enough likes on social media. I mean, we could talk about all sorts of things, but we will tell ourselves an internal narrative about where we feel stuck. And sometimes where we feel stuck has a lot to do with what we don't know that we don't know. So we're going to be covering all of this today. But where do you feel stuck in branding? Awesome. Yeah. And even like, what's the difference between marketing and branding? Because sometimes when this is a new language for us to speak, we don't necessarily know, right? Like, is branding myself marketing myself? Is marketing myself branding myself? Or are they actually just synonyms? Or is it the fact that they are sisters but not twin sisters? So we're gonna talk a little bit of, so we're gonna focus on branding, and from branding, I like to think that branding is like the big sister to marketing, because marketing can't exist without branding. But that's a great question. I know Jill, you shared that question. It's a great question. Because we all feel stuck in one way or another. And whether you have the idea and you've been working on it, or it's something that you're feeling like, that I want to try, or I don't know what I don't know, but I need to figure it out. That's what we're here for. So as you're jotting these things down for yourself, I'd also love for you to throw them in the chat. Jen's going to move into our next slide, but just throw them in the chat, because guess what? I promise you, I pinky swear, cross my heart, all the things. You're not the only one, right? Just in our chat so far, it's like, how many times have we heard the word clarity? So throw in the chat the places where you're feeling stuck. Go ahead, Jen.
Sorry, I didn't mean to advance the slide.
No, get the hook.
I wasn't trying to hurry you up.
Girlfriend, get the hook. You know, I'll just keep talking.
Okay, so when I first started my business, one of the first things that I didn't really understand so much is how important belief is. Okay, when it comes to branding, it really is all about belief. It's all about 3 actual beliefs we need to believe in. We need to believe hard in ourselves. We need to believe in our product or our offer. And we need to believe in our potential customer and their ability, or their ability to benefit from what we're offering them, right? So we need to believe in those 3 things. I didn't realize that when I first started, my business, how important belief is. So it's all about the belief in yourself. It's all about your belief in your offer and what your potential, client will benefit from you. So for me, one of the biggest obstacles was, it came in the form of limiting beliefs. I had so many limiting beliefs about myself. And when it comes to branding our business, we must have thoughts that serve us. Right? Billy was going through some of them before, and how important our self-talk is, right? We must have belief in ourselves, because, when it comes to branding your business, you're putting you have a new identity, and you're putting yourself out there. So you have to believe in this, because really, if you don't believe in you, how do you expect anybody else to believe in you, right? So this isn't an exhaustive list by any means, but I've just come up with some kind of thoughts that we can think on purpose to really start to step into that belief in ourselves. So I am a creature like no other. Like, that's such a great thing to think, right? Like, there's nobody like me. How good does that feel in your body when you think that, right? I'm exceptional. I'm amazing. I'm one of a kind. And I was created for, big things. I was created for greatness. I can do anything. So good, right? And like I said, this isn't an exhaustive list. There are plenty of other thoughts that we can think when we're branding ourselves that would really propel us into the action that we need to take. But by show of hands, since I can see you all pretty much, how many of you believe these things about yourself? Some of you are like, not there yet, right? Yeah, because it really is about believing in you. That's the first step when it comes to putting your your unique brand into the world. Oftentimes when we're going out of our comfort zone and we're building our business or branding ourselves, oftentimes our thoughts don't look like this, right? Oftentimes they look a little more like this. This is what I call our brain's BS, right? Our brain often says other thoughts than the ones we just looked at. And those thoughts are just BS. So especially when we're doing something big or scary, like starting our own business, the brain has really, the brain is trying to keep us safe, right? We call this the motivational triad. The brain tries to avoid pain, seek pleasure, and to be efficient. It's called the motivational triad. So the brain's idea of efficiency is the same old, right? Our brains love familiarity. And since starting a business may be perceived by the brain as scary or hard, our brains are trying to protect us from the perceived danger. So they offer us other thoughts other than I'm a creature like no other. They offer us things like, I can't do this. This is way too much. Who am I to do such a thing as this? I'm not special. This is a bad idea. Other people have the secret and I have no clue. I am a complete fraud. And the brain, as I said, the brain thinks it's helping us because it's trying to keep us safe. So the brain really is, we can't fault our brains, right? We all have them. But I just want you to really understand that it's not just you if you're thinking these thoughts. Like, we all think these thoughts. Our brains are irrational. They think what we're doing when we're stepping out of our comfort zone is a threat to our safety, even though it's really not. Starting our business is not going to kill us. Branding our business is not going to kill us, but our brains are irrational, and trying to keep us safe, it will give us these messages. It wants to keep status quo. So just wanted to reassure you that if this is you or these are the thoughts that you're thinking, it's normal and part of the process. It's part of the process of starting something new. So if you've had these thoughts, just know nothing's gone wrong, and we have to be onto our brains and the messages that they try to tell us. Okay, so we're going to move on. Why are our thoughts so important? Because our thoughts create our feelings. That's why our thinking is so important, because when we have a thought, it generates a certain feeling inside of us. And it might seem obvious to some people, but is it really, like, do we really understand that? How many of you really have thought of that before? That our thoughts create our feelings? Anybody? Because that's something that Bailey's saying yes. Bailey,
now I do.
Christina and I have been working together for a little bit, and I probably sound like a broken record all the time with the thoughts creating the feelings, but it's such a thing. Like, you wonder, why weren't we taught this when we were children? Right? Bailey, you feel the same way?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, this is one of the key tenets of the work that we do, is that our thoughts create our feelings, and our feelings inevitably, and I know you're going to talk about this, they create the way that we show up in the world, our actions. And I think that we have a choice, and it doesn't mean everything has to be sunshine and roses, because we need to have range, emotional range, intellectual range, range in our thoughts, and to have different experiences that fortify and allow us to know that we can do hard things. But it's true, our thoughts are what's creating the way that we feel, and the way that we feel is, dictating the narrative. And the narrative is calling the shots on our actions.
Yeah, and we don't often think about our thinking, right? We don't think about our thinking, but if we can really step into that and really just be the observer of our thoughts, anything really becomes possible. So this is why we're bringing it up today, because it's so important for so many things. And for branding yourself, All right. So the question becomes, what do you have to believe about yourself in order to feel the way you want to feel? So we can ask ourselves that question. Does anybody want to share like what they think that they have to believe about themselves to feel how they want to feel? Anybody want to share? I would love like to have some participation.
Hello.
Jill?
Yeah, hi, good afternoon. It's Christina speaking. How can I help you?
Me, Christina. She got a work call. Jill, how about you? What do you think you have to believe about yourself to feel the way you want to feel?
First, I have to know how I want to feel, right?
Yeah.
I want to feel confident, like in business. So I would have to believe that I'm capable, I think. I know I said that with a major question mark. I'd have to believe I'm capable.
Right. So how do you think that you would have to, so you would have to think that you're capable in order to feel confident?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Or, I mean, there's a lot of things I could think of that I could believe that would make me feel confident. Like, I can do hard things. Is something someone said a few minutes ago. I was like, yes, I love that one. I could do hard things. Makes me feel confident. Like I can figure it out. I have resources. Like, there's a lot of different things, I think.
Yeah. And when we think those things, like it really does generate that emotion inside. And that's really, so what I wanted to kind of, throw this question out is for you to just think about that. Like, what do I need to believe about myself in order to feel the way I want to feel? And like Jill said, probably identifying how you want to feel is a really good first step. How do you want to feel?
Right. Ruth, not to interrupt you, Jen, but I know that I'm in charge of the chat. Ruth just threw in there that I'm worth it. And let me just tell you how sexy that is, right? Like, so often we go through life just trying to people please as a way to determine our worth, or determining our worth by way of our productivity, how much we can do or get done or do for other people, which, believe me, coaching is a service-based business, so the thing that I love most in the world is helping people. But if I'm deriving my sense of self-worth by helping other people, then I'm externalizing it. So I'm with you, Ruth, that unless you're feeling like I'm worth it, then you're not going to put yourself out into the world. You're not going to have that confidence or feel capable. So I know in our workbook, the second half of page 3 is how do you want to feel? And to Jill's point, right? Just bullet point, like, how do you want to feel? What are some of those words that come up for you? And then that third page, because this goes hand in hand with what Jen's talking about with the intentional thoughts. Like, okay, great, you want to feel those things, but what do you have to believe about yourself in order to feel confident, in order to feel capable, in order to feel that you're worth it, right?
Yeah. For me, I want to feel, I'll just share with you how I want to feel. I want to feel that I'm being guided. Like, I want to believe that about myself. I also want to believe that I'm on a path, right? A journey. This is all part of the process, whatever it is. I want to believe, like Jill said, that I'm capable. And I want to believe that I'm amazing, that I can do anything, that I'm special, that I'm unique, and that what I offer my clients is exceptional. Like that's how I want to, that's what I want to believe about myself. And when I believe these thoughts about myself, I feel confident, right? Just like Jill said, I feel confident, I feel capable, and I feel motivated, and I feel empowered. So I want to, and I also want to feel like when it comes to feelings, like I want to feel blessed and I want to feel grateful. Can anybody else share any of the other feelings that they want to feel when it comes to branding their own business? Anybody? Okay.
So I've just been, as you were writing, I'm just writing everything down. So I just want to feel like I'm enough, like especially to what I want to do. I'm helping others. So I want to deliver something to them that they could take back. helping others. I'm motivated, and like I want to feel this idea like nothing's gonna stop me. Like I want to be on that track where if something gets in my way, I'm gonna be able to find my path around it and just move on, right? So like in dance, we talk about zigzag pathways. So I feel like right now I'm on this like zigzag track, and it's like, oh, that's okay, right? To be on this track, like that's part of my journey. So these are just
right,
like,
right. Like believing you're exactly where you're supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I love that. I love that belief. Yeah. And we get to feel these feelings by being a little more intentional with our thoughts, right? Because our feelings really do come from those, those beliefs. So all these feelings that we want to feel, they're moving us in a direction, right? They're moving us forward. And when we generate these amazing feelings and we truly believe that we can do anything, then we get to step into creating a vision for our business. So now we're going to talk about, what does your vision look like for your business? Like, what does it look like?
Yeah.
Bailey's.
Oh my God. I'm like, move over, world. I'm ready to talk about this. This is such an important element. And again, we can be blocked from our vision because of our head noise or our uncertainties or our own thoughts about what we're capable of or what we know or we don't know that we don't know. I mean, right, ladies, like we could totally go down the rabbit hole. And as Danielle was talking about, like that zigzag path would almost be welcomed compared to the rabbit hole that we can get ourselves into. But this is where I love playing, because playing in our vision allows us to evoke very much of our feminine energy. And without really, I mean, this is a whole workshop in and of itself, but we all have masculine and feminine energy. And just to give you a quick little description of it, and it's not gender based. Men have masculine, feminine, women have masculine, feminine, however you identify. But masculine energy is very much like our secure the perimeter, target the goal, like get things done. Where's my clipboard, right? Like that's our masculine energy, which is great. And that provides a lot of structure for our business and executing what we want to get done in our business and getting that straight line or even like pivoting when we need to, right? But what's the birthplace of business? Oh, ladies, it is our feminine energy. It is, right? It is, or any gentleman too that is listening to our replay, but it's our feminine energy that resides within us as women, as men, as everybody. Like we have our vision, that visionary energy, that pontificating, that, ooh, what if, that curiosity, that play. So on page 5 of your Branding You workbook, there's just a whole bunch of lines that's, what's your vision for your business? What's your vision for your business? And again, right, I'm going to go ahead and grant you the magic wand. Oh gosh, I have a little lady, a 6-year-old, and she had her magic wand in my office. And I was like, oh, perfect. Like I always love busting out a magic wand. But I'm granting you the magic wand, whatever you want it to be, right? And I'm going to give you a little fine print as you're working on this right now, right? Because you're here, just take the time, just work on it, write it down. Don't get stuck in the how, right? So often we will totally lose sight of the vision, right? Because we're like, ooh, and then I do this, and then I do that. And then this big like how monster shows up. It's like, well, how's that going to get done? How's that going to get done? And it goes, it's like scratch, the record scratch, like the brakes that we slam on. And we stop like having our big vision because the how monster comes in and is almost like, do you ever have that friend or like have been that friend or relative that everything is poo-pooed? Like, oh, we should. And they're like, well, no, it's going to rain. It's going to like, well, how would we do that? Right. We do that to ourselves sometimes. And without busting out my psychotherapy brain and telling you guys how that all works, but essentially like we do these things to ourselves as a great equalizer. But let's suspend all that stuff for right now. What is your vision for your business, your big idea, your maybe, your someday, your, well, I'm going to be on this webinar so that I can learn this, or I could try this, or I could learn something that maybe will spark an idea for me. What's on the list for you? So I know you guys are jotting it down. You could jot it down in full detail. You jot it down into full detail where you've got paragraphs and you can describe the linen tablecloth of the restaurant that you're opening. Or you can have a couple of bullet points, but we'd love to hear from you too. So feel free to pop into the chat or unmute yourself and like, what's your big vision? What's your someday? What's your maybe? What's your like, I'm kind of thinking about it. I don't know. What is it? And we're saying vision for your business, but maybe there's something that goes alongside of it. Last night was our graduation for our fall coach training program. They graduated last night. So proud of them. And one of our graduates had brought a friend to support her, and the friend was talking about her maybe someday. And her maybe someday was she wants to go to Bali so badly. And she has this whole vision for becoming a yoga instructor and doing her training in Bali. And just, she started to roll with it and share her vision, and you could just see how lit up she was. So however that vision, and really it spawned, it was, it came from her own life path of her current careers. So I'd love to hear from you guys. Hop in the chat. What's your vision for your business? And does it feel scary to put it out there? Does it feel scary to say it out loud? And if you don't feel like typing in the chat, feel free to unmute yourself. But we'd love to hear from you. What's your vision for your business? What's your big idea? What's your someday, your maybe?
All right. Well, we will ponder that question. Okay. Well, now we've talked about our vision.
No one else wants to share.
Go ahead, Jill.
Do you want me to share?
Yeah.
Sure.
I was kind of surprised that this is what came out of this pondering this question.
Yeah.
But it's something I've been thinking about that I didn't really realize is related to my business. I mean, I think I realize it's related to my business, but I think of it as like a separate thing because it's like a creative project. It's a theater piece about child-free women. It's like the vagina monologues of people not having children, like where people tell their stories. And then the reason that I want to do that is to illuminate for everyone, not just people who are child-free, all the different nuances that can go into that for people.
That's really interesting. Had you thought of that before this?
I've thought of it before this a lot of times, but I didn't think about it like related to my business. And as you know, I'm starting to focus on child-free women as my niche as a coach. And so, I mean, they are sort of related. I don't know how it like makes me money, but it's just like, it's a creative thing I want to put in the world. So it's related to my business.
That's really cool, Jill. I'm glad you're, that this helped you like kind of expand that for your business. So what happens is when we have these thoughts and we have these feelings, can anybody guess? Jill, you're not allowed to guess. What happens when we have these thoughts and then feelings? Like, what does that drive? Can anybody guess? So we have thoughts, and that generates a feeling inside of us, and then what do we do after we have a feeling? Our feelings drive, Danielle?
I'm gonna say we try to take the action, right?
Yes.
So feeling, you have this feeling, and it's like, okay, well, what's the next step to go?
Yes, our feelings drive our actions. Very good. I was, talking to my husband about it. I said, and our feelings drive and I was, putting that question out to him, and he's like, our thoughts? I was like, oh my gosh, he's been with me all this time and he still doesn't know that our feelings drive our actions, right? And it's so important when it comes to accomplishing anything in our life, and in particular, when it comes to branding our business. So taking action comes in a couple of different forms, and I'm going to go through them really quickly because I can't believe we're almost like out of time. I mean, we have a couple minutes, but I wanted to also, tell you the different kinds of actions that we can take. Now, passive action is really great. It's cool. It's fine. Nothing's gone wrong if you're taking passive action, but passive action is not going to get you results like massive action. So there's two forms of action. There's passive action and massive action. Passive action is consuming, right? How many of you guys are consumers? I totally am. I love listening to other people's concepts, other people's ideas, reading books on topics, right? Studying and talking to people about whatever subject it is. And it's a great action we can take. All those things are great. Nothing's gone wrong if we're just, but if we really want to do big things, we have to understand the difference between the passive action and the massive action. Massive action is going to get you the results that you want in your life and in your business. So what is massive action? Massive action is being relentless. It's showing up and just being willing to fail, right? Oftentimes we don't want to fail. We want to do everything right. But when it comes to starting our own business and branding who we are, putting ourselves out there to the people, we have to know that we're going to fail and it's okay. So being willing to fail and being willing to experience any emotion, whatever comes up for us, right? That's key, really, is to keep going despite all those things that might come up for us in terms of emotions, right? We might feel discouraged. We might be embarrassed. We might be humiliated. We might be rejected. We might, all these things. But if we're willing to, if we decide in advance that we're willing to experience any emotion that comes up for us, we are going to be taking massive action because we're going to keep on going, even with those feelings. So oftentimes once we get that feeling of like rejection, we're like, okay, this isn't working. And we step back and we don't keep going. So massive action really is continual. It's called massive for a reason, right? It's like continual, nonstop until you get the result that you want. And massive action requires you to anticipate all the obstacles that may come up for you. There are going to be obstacles on your way to starting your business, branding your business. There are going to be obstacles. And it's finding those strategies that are going to help you overcome them. And massive action is really trying and failing and changing directions and trying again and on until you reach your goal. So that's the difference between passive and massive, right? Passive action is like reading the book and massive action is writing the book, right? Passive action is listening to the podcast and massive action is doing your own podcast, So there's a difference. Massive action is super important. I just wanted to kind of go over that because I think it's great, especially when it comes to branding you. All right, so now we're going to get clear on who you are and what you offer. So let's talk about this. Who are you and what do you offer? That's the first step it takes when you're branding yourself. You need to be clear about this. So again, we love participation. If anybody wants to share who you are and what you are going to be offering your potential clients or who you help now, I would love to hear from you. Anybody want to share? It's okay if you don't, but Jill, do you want to share? Oh, I thought you took yourself off mute.
So Jen has a really great slide that's going to help us to confidently talk about what we do. Because I know that sometimes it could get all jumbled up and we don't really know exactly what to say or how to say it. So Jen, can you guide us in that space? Because I feel like if you share that with us, that when we are ready to say it, we're going to like kind of have a tool that gives us like that boost of confidence to say it.
Okay. So first step is just to become clear on who you are and or who, what you offer to your person, your potential client. Okay. And then the second part of this is identifying how you are going to help them and identifying what the pain point is that you are going to solve. So your potential client or your potential person has a problem. Like, how are you going to help their problem? Actually, I can go back and in this being clear on who you are and what you offer, I'm going to give you an example from this company. It's called Smart Tag. Smart Tag is a company that they created this tag that goes onto your kids' stuff, like their school lunchbox and their, their school hat or whatever the case may be, so that you can quickly and easily recover their lost items. So they're telling you, and Smart Tag is telling you who they are. Smart Tag. They have created this thing that attaches to your kids' stuff so that you can help them, so that they can help you find the stuff. Okay, so that's what Smart Tag is. So that's just an example of communicating who you are and what you offer. So the next part is identifying a pain point in your potential client, how you're going to solve their problem. So for Smart Tag, it's designed for the frustrated parent. So the Smart Tag is saying, like, we know you're frustrated. We know you're frustrated because your kids are losing their stuff. So we're going to help you solve that problem because we've created this device that's going to, help you solve that problem for yourself. And they created it for the frustrated parent who's sick and tired of, constantly replacing their school kids' items. So that's who they are, what they offer, and they're saying who you are, like who their potential person is. It's that frustrated parent who is tired of replacing their kids' stuff. I feel like I would love the Smart Tag. Like I want the Smart Tag for me because I'm always losing my things. But that's an example of identifying your potential client's pain point and how you're going to help solve their problem. That's the second step in branding you. And then the third step is communicating how this is going to change their life, how having your service or product is going to change their life and how it's going to make them feel. So with Smart Tag, it's going to save you money. So we don't have a lot of time, so I'm trying to be quick, but it's going to save them, their clients money. They're not going to have to replace their kids' items anymore. And they're not going to have those after school arguments with their children. So it's going to change their life and make them feel much more connected with their children. So that's an example of how we want to communicate how we're going to change our potential client's life and how we're going to help them to feel better. So here is what Bailey was talking about. And this is on, what page of the workbook is this, Bailey?
Oh, I have to unmute myself. I'm just chatting away over here. So this is on page 6 of our workbook. I love a good Mad Libs. I love it, just like easy, laid out, and just very, very clear.
Okay, so can you guys answer these questions? I help, right? I help blank with blank. What's their problem that you're helping them with? Do you feel like, what is their pain point? What are they struggling with? What's their emotion that you're going to help them solve? And what do you offer them? And by using your service, what will they have more of? So that's the exercise. And I'm going to share with you. So while you're doing that, I'm just going to share with you mine for Rainbow Balance. This is what I came up with for me as a life coach. I am a life balance coach. I help stressed out, overwhelmed, and overworked women who feel as if they're running on the hamster wheel of their life. I support them along their path and help them to get in the driver's seat of their life, steering away from chaos toward destination calm, while creating deeper connections and prioritizing what matters to them most. So that's an example from my business. So I'd love to hear from you guys. I know this is a lot, right? It's like, we're like asking you to share these things and maybe you don't know, but if anybody does know and would like to share, it would be awesome to hear from you.
I remember, and again, feel free to unmute yourselves, guys, or even pop it in the chat if you want to just like practice writing it out. And Jen, you want to put the Mad Libs version up? Go one slide back. So I remember starting my business. And so we're going into the year 8. And this was also before Mindrise, because I started it just as baileyfrumen.com. And I remember almost like wanting to rattle off all the things that I could help with. And then if you do this, and then I can help with that. And then I kind of like, I also do this. And because I was just so excited to help or do, or like have my own business, that I almost felt like I was like reading off a Chinese menu of options, right? Of like what I could do or how I could help. And the truth is that I've found when people can hear themselves in what you offer, and again, this works for service, but it also works for product based, right? Jen just gave us an example with Smart Tag being a product based business, right? When we are creating a business, we have to feel confident in what we're talking about. So, as Jen shared with the coach training program, that's how she learned how to become a coach. But more than that, she learned how to have a business, because that's the deal. If you want to do big things in the world and you want to market yourself with confidence, you've got to learn how to brand yourself. And one of the ways of branding yourself is how you talk about what you do and who you help. So I help, and who do you help? And try to get niche down with it, right? Like Jill had shared with us, she supports child-free women. Perfect, awesome, very clear, right? There's clear people that are going to raise their hand. Yep, that's me. But people will be like, no, that's not the party for me. Fine, but you want to know that you're in the right place with, and what are they navigating? What are they navigating? And how are they feeling? So again, feel free to throw it in the chat, or feel free to unmute yourself. This might even be the part where you're like, you get the screech on the record of like, oh, this is what makes me feel uncomfortable. Like, I want to do the things, but I got to talk about it, or I got to say it out loud. And having the right tools with which to share and say it out loud, having the right community with which to learn and put yourself out there and practice. I'm telling you guys, that was a game changer for me in taking my business from an idea or a someday to this is my entirety of my life. This is what I make my entire living on. This is what I've built so that other people can do it. So I think that, when we have the right tools, that can help us a lot. And I'm looking at the time, Jen.
I know Jill had a client at 1, so.
Okay.
So just some additional things that we can talk about is
some homework.
Yeah. Think about your branding. Like, what is the look and feel of your logo, of your font, of your marketing materials, who you're speaking to, really getting clear on who your audience is. Who are you talking to? Like, what are their hobbies? What are their likes? What are their dislikes? What are their values? Really getting clear on who that person is that you are speaking to, and be really specific when it comes to that. So that's a great thing to think about as your homework. And from there, you develop your website, you develop your logo, the color palettes, your font, and your photos and your graphics, all to kind of speak to that. Really, you want, when your ideal customer comes to your website, you want to evoke a certain feeling. Like, what is that feeling that you want to evoke or generate? The person to feel like, okay. And Christina, I don't know if Christina's still there. She unvideoed herself, but she's a world champion karate person. She's a total badass. And her niche is helping women who are lacking confidence to essentially go from couch to black belt. Like she wants to actually engender a feeling of motivation, of empowerment, of inspiration. So really, she's speaking to a specific group of people. She's talking to that person that doesn't have confidence, that really needs confidence, and she can help them with that. She's speaking to that person who doesn't feel empowered, helping them to feel more empowered by, when they see her marketing materials, when they look at her branding, they're going to be like, that's who I am looking for. I need this. Okay, so let's move on, because I know so these are some of the questions that we could always, and we went through a lot of these, so we won't go through them again, but one of the things I want to ask you is like, what makes your brand unique? How are you different from the rest? That's another great question to ask yourself when it comes to branding you.
And we have all of these in the workbook because I don't know about you guys, but it's great to go on a webinar. But if I'm not taking what I'm learning from that webinar and walking away with some homework or walking away with like things I have to think about or next steps, then guess what? Like we're always going to feel like we just are consuming, right? We're taking passive action, we're just consuming. This allows you to be in the massive action space. And truthfully, you know, even today's masterclass, it puts you ahead of the game. You know, as we are actually going to be getting started with our coach training program that's coming up in April. If anyone's like on and they're kind of thinking about, do I want to be a coach? Is that something for me for the next step? Oh, sorry, Jenna. I didn't mean to make you go there, but thanks.
That's okay.
I know, you know me when I started talking, but this already has you starting ahead of the game because a lot of times, you know, we come to the table with barely a clue. You already have a little bit of an edge and we're giving you homework so that you are continuing to work on growing yourself. Okay? Because that's the whole point, is for you not only to be building a business, right? So yes, our particular brand of teaching you how to build a business is in the realm of coaching, but more than anything, like you're learning to be a coach, which helps you like to be a leader in any element of your business. We've had people who've gone through the program that they didn't want to be a coach at all. They wanted to really be able to coach their team within the corporate space that they're in, or they wanted to be able to coach their employees for the business that they wanted to build. So not only are you going to learn how to support people that way, but to build a business, to have that community, to have that accountability, to have that exact path, to know, you know, how to market to your audience, to know how you feel you're best serving. There's also a lot of the behind the scenes stuff that we often get stuck in, and people were sharing in the chat, like the legal aspect of things and like, where do I go for this or what do I do for that? We cover all of those things in the coach training program. So like, yes, you're learning to become a coach, but more than anything, you're learning to become a business owner. So if that's something that you're thinking about, if that's something that you are craving, since Jen has us on this slide, I'm going to encourage you to just text us, right? Let's keep things super simple. Things get lost in email, but just shoot us a text. Text the word coach to 732-487. So 732-487-3404. And just text the word coach. If you're curious about it, like if you want more information, you want to know what the schedule looks like, or you want to know what the program looks like, we'll send you all the scoop on that, because I don't know about you, but I make better decisions when I kind of like test things out, like get to know the people, kind of like today's webinar, but also when I have the information in front of me. So if you're curious about it or what it looks like or how it could apply to you, I encourage you to text the word coach to 732-487-3404. I know we have one more slide, Jen, and I know we're coming really close over to time, but let's give this to them because this is really important.
Yeah, so these are some other things to remember when it comes to branding you. As we spoke about already, we need to be clear on what you offer and who you are. I know I sound like a broken record on that, but it's so important because clarity is everything. People don't buy from you if they're confused. A confused customer doesn't buy. So really be clear on who you are and what you offer. And the other thing is consistency. It means showing up often, right? Just keep showing up. So many times, we show up and then things don't go the way we want and we stop. That's actually commitment. But consistency is just like keeping on showing up. And also for your branding, it's making sure that your voices match, whether you're on Facebook or Instagram, that that you're saying the same thing. Because when you're consistent, your potential customers learn to trust you, who you are, and it inspires confidence in them. And it shows that you're disciplined and trustworthy. So that's the second thing. And then 3 is commitment, where, like I said before, we want our ads to go viral the minute we put them out there. We want, our offers to just, go all over the place. But when they don't, sometimes we can feel discouraged and think that we need to shift directions. But this is not true. Branding takes time. So be committed to going ahead despite not seeing immediate results. Branding you is just like one of the many steps to finding your identity as a business owner. It's really exciting. And as we all have seen, we are all unique and we have amazing gifts to share with the world. So let's continue to stay committed and to grow and to become all that we are created to be. We are really glad that you joined us today. Thank you so much, and let's keep the conversation going.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Jen, you are the absolute best. Thank you to everybody for being on for today. We will be sure to send out the replay. If there was at any moment you're like, oh, well, what did she say or how did she say it? We'll be sending out the replay. You've got the workbook. You have questions. You need us for anything. Shoot us a DM, hit reply to your email. That's super simple. Just hit reply and it will go to our team. And again, if you are thinking about becoming a coach or really taking your someday idea and making it a business, taking that leap, and you want that guidance, you want that support, you want that exact path in that place of community and accountability, I invite you to step into our coach training program. This is launching mid-April, April 19th. And just text the word coach to 732-487-3404, and we'll send you all the information right to you and keep it super simple. All right, guys. Thank you so much for having
me. Thanks, guys.
Reach out.
Thank you.
Talk to you all soon.
Bye.
Bye.